Consolation, Danny Reese came out of Banning, went to SC, and played for Tampa Bay. So he was a Trojan. So this is really awarded to our cheer team, our drill team, our flags, our band, and every player on the team. But to come up and accept this plaque, to add to the other 12 championships you have, I'll ask the athletic director, the head coach, and the principal to join me as we award this on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the 1-5, congratulating you for a great season. And very importantly, this plaque says, once a pilot,
always a pilot.
Thank you and congratulations.
Free Palestine.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
All items, please.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
Thank you. Oh, just a point of order. Will we be hearing general comment before the special meeting is called or after?
No, that'll be at the end.
At the end, so after recess is ended, and so the special meeting will before general?
Yes.
That's bullshit, Paul. I gotta get to work. I gotta cross the street.
That's not on our agendas. Your time is running. Speak to the agenda items.
That's utter bullshit. That is utter bullshit. 10, communication from the Los Angeles Housing Department about rent escrow. Rent escrow is this thing where when landlords don't hold up their end of the bargain, instead of their tenant also not having to hold up their end of the bargain, they just have to put their money in a secret account until the landlord fixes the shit they should have already had fixed anyway, and then they get paid. Could you imagine if as a worker or a tenant, you never were at a loss when you didn't fulfill your obligations at work or didn't fulfill your end of a contract? You just had to take whatever time you needed to make that restitution, and then you just get to keep everything. I've never been late for work and gotten paid the same or missed a deadline and not been reprimanded, but that's really how we treat landlords. Also, 11, if wishes were fishes, we'd all cast nets, but snitches get stitches, and that's what's on the agenda here. These types of things really pit communities against each other, and they don't work. And the LAPD is the biggest budget line item in the city, so why do they need the public's help to do their job? They have helicopters toting chili back and forth and toting VIPs to meetings. You'd think they wouldn't need our help to find the people who commit crimes. What the fuck are we paying them for? Number 12, let's see here. We're going to reprogram $2,500,000 in a community development block grant funds for the Kittredge Street Park project. This sounds nice. I'm just reading the agenda here because I want to clarify for someone that that's actually something I'm allowed to do during general public comment. Blumenfeld. So let me go back to item 6. So item 6 is about bike lanes. Let me say something about bike lanes. If it won't damage a car, it won't protect a bike lane. This is really kind of a pittance. This is another example of us being tossed scraps and y'all expect us to feast on them. One of the posts I've had at a crossing guard has been on Laurel and Kittredge. There's a bike lane in front of that school that gets used regularly as a load zone. I told my sergeant about it, and then I got reprimanded for filing a complaint that wasn't in my crosswalk. So that's how the Department of Transportation feels about bicycle and pedestrian safety. I work for the DOT. I made a complaint. They said, that's not in your crosswalk. We don't want to hear about it. That's what y'all are paying for, by the way.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. If you could please remind us of the name you signed up under and the items you would like to speak to.
My name is Jesse Budlong, and I'm signed up to speak on item 6.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 6.
I am a victim of vehicular violence, both as a bicyclist and a pedestrian since living in Los Angeles. I have been sent to the hospital. I have had to use a cane. I have had to use crutches. Every day that I have to leave my house to go to work, to go anywhere, I think I'm going to die. The pedestrian crosswalks around my condo are non-existent. Drivers ignore stop signs. It terrifies me to live here. Other countries are light years ahead of us in terms of basic mobility like bike lanes and transit-only lanes. And if Los Angeles is serious about hosting the 2028 Olympics, I am terrified of what all the visitors here will have to experience, the vehicular onslaught at the hands of Los Angeles drivers, because we cannot do better. We cannot build bike lanes because other countries have or other cities have. We talk about sustainability and innovation, yet the city council is starting to impeding the progress they've already done with the mobility plan. I urge this mobility plan has to pass, otherwise thousands will die. Thank you.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item number 6.
Thank you. So while 300 Angelenos are killed in car crashes every year, actually more than that, and that's more than in homicides, and while our buses get stuck in gridlock and bike commuters have to fear for their life every day, it's disappointing to see these outlandish and misleading figures being published by the CAO. The report includes over $2 billion for sidewalk repair, which is not even in scope of Measure HLA. So less than a month away from the election, where voters can decide whether to support this life-saving measure to keep our streets safe, it's hard to see this as anything but electioneering by the CAO. So we desperately need more dedicated bus lanes, for more crosswalks, and traffic calming measures. Please vote for Measure HLA. Thank you.
Gabriel Levine, I'm speaking on item 6.
Good morning. Go right ahead.
All right. So we have an election coming up, and it's important that voters have all the information when they're voting in this election. And in the latest CEO report, it is said that bike lanes cost about, as my colleague said, $2 million, but according to the LADOT, they only cost about $250,000. It is important that we get increased access to mobility, not just for the affluent in our communities, but also for everybody. I have a friend who was almost killed when she was crossing an intersection on her bicycle, when a car ran a red light, and she was paralyzed for several months and is still currently in physical therapy. It should not be a life-risking exercise to cross the street. We need to pass this. Thank you.
Olga Lexell. I'm with the Yes on Measure HLA campaign, and I'm here today to ask, why is the CAO playing games with people's lives? This week, in a span of 2 days, 7 people in the city of LA were killed in traffic, including a pedestrian murdered in a hit and run in CD11. The worst part is we know these deaths are preventable. That's why we set out on this ballot initiative. We know that implementing the mobility plan will save lives. The CAO report does not even go into the money saved by preventing traffic violence. In addition to the human costs, traffic deaths and injuries cost the city economy nearly $4.5 billion a year. This plan has been in the works for a decade. The city has had more than enough time to prepare, and we've kicked the can down the road. Now we're getting a vastly overinflated report that claims a bike lane costs $2 million to put in. I use those bike lanes, by the way, and I think we all know that a few plastic bollards don't cost $2 million. The real estimate established by LADOT is 1/10 of that cost. This is the bare minimum of what this city can do to end preventable deaths from car crashes, so let's stop playing politics. The longer we delay this, the more people die.
Eli Littman, item 6.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item number 6. Please begin.
Thank you. Eli Littman on behalf of Move LA. You probably know us from getting Measures R and Measure M funded in the city. We also defended SB1, the gas tax. And I point that out for a very specific reason. What is not included in this CAO's report is any of the revenue from transportation. You do not have an accounting for how many dollars are actually coming in specifically lockboxed for transportation. It doesn't tell you that total number. And so just looking at the cost is actually incorrect. You need to look at the revenue sources. You have plenty of funding coming in. In addition, there's over $3 billion in federal dollars for state streets. I've been begging the city to apply for those dollars. We need Streets LA at the table. So you either didn't ask the right questions to the CAO or you're not getting the right answers. So then what is this really? It's an admission of failure. It is an admission that we cannot believe any plan that this city puts in place because you can't implement it. So why bother? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm in Council District 10. I'm talking on number 6. The bike lanes are, Chelsea Manning pointed this out, that the bikes that are connected with these bike lanes are not in South Central. I know why no one's talked about that. I don't know. That's an amazing thing. If you see it on a map, all the bikes that are, there are lots around where I live, they're not in South Central. Why didn't anyone bring that up? I don't know. General public comment, is this book right here is an awesome book, and it's almost as good as this book right here. All of these are about directed energy, okay? And I'm becoming an expert. I'm taking physics to get better at this. I'm going to read the book. My thing is verbatim. Okay, our leaders will, I just started on this. I should have much more time. Our leaders will.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Elliott. Which name did you use, sir?
My name is Mama White. Mama White.
And which items would you like to speak to?
If I can have 6, 11, 15 under Mama White.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
The Mama agenda number 6 will be about the bicycle enhancement network. So I used to be a big fan of riding a bicycle because right now certain line on the LA Metro bus is every 45 minutes. So sometimes it literally is much better, faster to ride the bicycle than riding the bus. However, there's a reason that none of the city council members are riding bicycle every day, because you know for a fact, if you ride a bicycle in the city of Los Angeles, you're gonna get run over sooner or later. You know that. That's the reason why none of you politicians are riding a bicycle. However, I am not that lazy. I actually enjoy riding a bicycle, but it's just the LA City, under your management, under your leadership, just cannot give me a safe enough environment for me to ride my bicycle. But that is your fault. And for whatever reason, it's still one of the most dangerous cities to ride a bicycle. Now, the next item, number 11. Number 11, talking about a special offer reward for the identification for the leading to the suspect regarding for the death of the Francisco Garcia. Well, I talk about a similar item number several times. When you have less detective, when you have less officer, when you have less law enforcement, the result will be more criminals, more murders, more killings, because when you, for a fact, when you have LAPD officer on every side of the corner, every area of the city, all over 24/7, you know that criminals will be scared to commit a crime in the first place. Now, all of the murder, looter, rioter, rapist, because of the absence of the LAPD officer in many areas of the city, that's the reason why those criminals are doing more and more killing and crimes. Now, let's talk about number 15. 15 about the homeless, which is I talk about several times either. I heard, the LA City Council are donating many monies to, Israel, Ukraine, or whatever, spend money, throw it away, and then including continue to investment in the homeless services, but at the same time, the result never change. The more money you throw away, the more homeless on the street. The more money you throw away, the more people end up on the street. When they end up on the street, some of them continue to end up being a criminal, end up in jail, end up in prison, worst of the worst, end up dead on the street. So the homeless services, or whatever the homeless services you are doing, it's not work, because you continue to doing homeless services and the homeless population continue to grow. Have a nice day.
Signed up as Noemi de Meraz. I'm speaking to number 15.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 15. Please begin.
Thank you. We, the people of Los Angeles, have spent years asking for affordable housing, and instead our taxpayer dollars continue to fund the genocide in Palestine. We have been asking for too long, for too nicely, and to this I'd like to say that if the demands of the people you serve continue to fall on deaf ears, you will be met with violent resistance for the rest of your tyrannical term, and that is not a threat, it is a promise. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Good morning, sir. I'd like to speak to 6, 11, 14, 13, 15, and public comment.
Okay, so we are not currently taking general public comment, but you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
Okay. Item 6 refers to the bike mobility plan for 2035. I don't know how many of you council people have been out around the city, the downtown area of LA. It's fucked up. The sidewalks are fucked up. There's graffiti on top of graffiti on top of graffiti on top of graffiti. That's 4 layers of graffiti. You have low-income workers who are being charged triple to get business licenses, while you have other businesses that don't have business licenses. Who's in charge? Who's in charge
Mr. Sachs,
of the
bring
city
it back to the
council?
agenda, please.
I am on the agenda, Mr. Krikorian. It's all about the Antifa. How's your daughter and son-in-law doing?
No, you're not speaking to the agenda.
I
Speak
am
to the
speaking
agenda, or your time will be
Item
expired.
number 11 refers to graffiti. What about the graffiti at the 2 buildings across the street from Staples Center?
So, Mr. Sachs, that is not on the agenda for this regular meeting. So this is your
11
last
is about
opportunity.
graffiti.
Number 11 is a reward offer for information. So please stick to the agenda items, or you're going to forfeit your speaking time.
How about snitches get stitches? John Walsh used to say snitches get stitches. Why don't you put the names of people who got killed on the headboards of Metro buses like they did before? Is that a problem to put the names of Mexican Americans on the buses because they're getting killed? They're being kidnapped? Women are getting raped? What the hell is going on here? You had an Affordable Care Act that was presented by Barack Obama.
So, Mr. Sachs, again, you've been given multiple warnings,
Okay,
so
you have no-
you forfeited your time. Next speaker.
That's fucked up, sir.
All right, as I'm going to call a few more names: Andrew Grabner, Morgan Goodwin, Michael Lee, or Lay, Dylan Branch. I think I already called Peace Poppy, but if I didn't, Fanny Spindler.
Mr. Sachs, this is your first and only formal warning. Please do not disrupt this meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hope you guys can hear me okay.
Good morning. Which items would you like to speak to?
Item 6.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 6. Please begin.
My name is Fada Dadul. I am a constituent of District 4. That would be your district, Ms. Rahman. Since this council has decided that it's not going to do so, I am here to say, end the genocide. Stop the murder of babies.
I'm
Stop.
sorry, that's not on our agenda. You need to speak to item 6, please.
Say no to little boys collecting leaves for food.
Okay. Sorry, that's
Say
not on
no.
our agenda. You'll need to have a seat and wait for general public comment if you wish to speak about that. That's it. That's it. Next speaker, please. Everyone who's shouting out, you're instructed to sit down and be silent, or you'll be removed from the meeting. Okay, you're not complying with my lawful order. Everyone who's shouting out and standing up now is ordered removed from the chambers pursuant to Rule 12. No, you're ordered removed from the chambers. Leave quietly and immediately.
And for the
Leave
record,
the chambers silently and immediately.
So you've all been instructed to, well, you first of all, you've been warned, and now you've been instructed to leave the council chambers. And for the record, we are still waiting for the people who have interrupted this meeting to cease so that we can continue.
All right. Next speaker among the names that I called, please.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
I'll speak on item 6, and the other items that I put in the kiosk, it should be on your screen, Paul, so I shouldn't have to repeat it for you.
So again, I do not see
Paul
the
does.
items.
It's on his screen.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the 1 minute for item 6 unless you identify the items you'd like to speak to. So which items would you like to speak to? Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
All right, item 6 is related to bike lanes and bus lanes and things like that. The mobility plan that you introduced like 10 years ago and for some reason have decided to not actually implement. You know, people are dying on the streets, so let's build those bike lanes and bus lanes. That's something that will actually keep people safe. Rather than cops running around the chamber and threatening people for holding up a Palestine flag. Let's see, we have, yes, that happened. We have, just a couple minutes ago, Duarte did it. We have let's see, now, other items. We have item 11, which is reward money for snitches. Why can't we get reward money if we have information on when the cops go and shoot people? Because there's a lot of information we have to give on that, and we should get some money for that. But you only give reward money for people to snitch out their civilian neighbors. We have item 13, a Kevin De Leon motion, seconded by his best buddy Bob Blumenfield. So no on that. It's just graffiti removal. Is this separate from the ocean-wide thing? I think that's on the special agenda. This is a different building. Just putting more money because, that's all you do. Protect property and, all that stuff. We have item 14 that's related to street vendors. We should support them. Street vendors are constantly targeted, and it would be good for them to good for you to support the street vendors. All right, item 15 is a verbal update that we have not received yet. We can't see on here, so I don't know what I'm commenting on item 15. It looks like there's eventually going to be a presentation from LASA and County 211 regarding the augmented winter shelter program during the winter weather events, but I haven't heard the presentation yet, so I don't know what I'm commenting on. I can't see the presentation, so what am I commenting on? But I'll speak briefly to it because I do have some stuff I can comment on. Mutual aid groups, because the city doesn't do it. We're trying to help unhoused people, and the winter shelters would not take the unhoused people during the winter storms. So it appears like the city's been doing a terrible job on getting unhoused people into winter shelters during the storms. So, want to hear about that? Council Rule 7 says general comment has to be now.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you. Peace Poppy, and I'd like to speak to items 12, 13, 14, and 15, sir.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
First, I'd like to remind the council and the attendees that the appointed and elected representatives are in their positions to act on the interests and the will of its constituents. So I call upon you to hear us in these halls and on the streets as your constituents, for which you have a duty to hear us. The city of Los Angeles spends $50,666,583 annually on Israeli defense and weapons. This information is available on public record.
So, Speaker, I can't tell which item you're speaking to. So please identify the item you're speaking to.
This applies to all of these items. Today, this council would consider bills that set up funds for that will require funds for public works, housing, and infrastructure, among other critically important elements.
So again, none of this is specific to the items on the agenda. So I'm going to ask you politely one more time. Please identify the items that you're speaking to, or you're going to forfeit your speaking time. You are welcome to speak to anything else in the city's subject matter jurisdiction during general public comment, but this is for the items only.
The items, number 12, 13, 14, and 15 all require investment of city taxpayer money.
Correct, but that doesn't mean that you need to speak to the specific items themselves, not the fact that they all require taxpayer money.
Money is being diverted to Israel.
Okay, so you've been warned multiple times. You forfeited your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. I've called all of the names who signed up, so I assume that Mr. Spindler is using a different name.
Yeah, I'm using, it's My girlfriend, Fannie Willis's name there, Fannie Spindler.
Which items would you like to speak to?
All the goddamn fucking items.
So you have, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
You know, you've seen me before. So we got here, number 15. Do I get to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize. Yes. So number 15, fuck number 15. And you know, and I'm on topic, Mr. City Pumpkinhead, that the North Hollywood CD2 shelter is being used for an improper purpose, not for this purpose. And item
You're actually
15.
not on topic, so stick to the agenda.
Okay, we're just testing you, Armenian criminal. Thank you.
Okay,
Number 14.
Again, that's not on the agenda. This is your only warning, Mr. Spindler. Speak to the agenda or you'll sit down.
Trying as hard as we can. I'm getting tired, yes. So number 14, CD1. We have money for nothing. Yes, that's right. If you want to be a street vendor, simply buy a van and sell crack out of the back of it. That is a very profitable vending. That's a good idea. Yes, you don't need a license. You just need a good defense lawyer. Number 13, CD goddamn 14, shout out to Mr. Lion. Oh, let's give him a hand on that. I didn't see that. Yes, look at that. Wow, he's going beyond the fraud. All the way over to West Pico Boulevard for more remediation. That's way beyond the ocean-wide property. Cleaning up after Mr. Weezar's 18 years of shitting on CD14. Yes, very good job. It doesn't take a day, it takes a long time. And number 12, CD2, well, that's Paul Martin Krikorian's creative arts technology. Well, there's nobody in Paul Martin Krikorian's district that has any talent. That's the problem. That's why I have to oppose it. Kittredge is a certified shithole as well. Use the money, give it to Unisys, and let her put one of these over there on 7th Street in Alvarado where all of that problem is. That's what we need it for. Then we get to number 11. Snitches get stitches. Yes, and do you have the email, sir? Yes. Here we go. Dear City Council members, I am a whistleblower. I used to work in a council office.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the reward.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Do you want to speak to the reward, or do you want to sit down?
Yes. So we simply would like to say stitches to snitches. $50,000 is not enough to change your name and move to Cuba. Please make it $100,000, and the snitch will come forward. Thank you, Armenian
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
And the items you would like to speak to?
6, but I'm going to be speaking at a later point on general public comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for item 6 right now.
Okay,
go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you noticed it turned into a discussion of HLA, which is on the ballot, and you'll notice that it was stacked with bicycle people that came out here. And, you know, as somebody who's been an activist for many years, I've always disliked when this was a closed hearing item. This item should not have been a hearing here. And suddenly, you know, a council person opens it up, and you guys know how it works. One side gets tipped off. The bicyclists obviously got tipped off. They're well organized. And they show up here. They might not even live in the city of Los Angeles. So yeah, I mean, they're very organized. They're very loud. They're a small group of people. And traffic used to be the most important issue in this city. I wish that the council members that are opposed to this measure would come out and say that they are and have the courage to do so, because this city has enough problems as it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Brock Landers, Los Angeles private investigator.
Good afternoon. And which items would you like to speak to?
I'd like to speak to all open items.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items. Again, that's item number 6 and 10 through 15 only. Please begin.
All right, item number 6. To all the people complaining about bike links costing $2 million, maybe this should open to your eyes to all the red tape and the extra costs that come with voting for Democrats. You have to pay for that big government. KDL, Smoke and Scan would like to see you on a bike without a helmet. Half of Smoke and Scan thinks that you're wearing one of Maury's wigs. Damon and I don't agree. Could you give us a thumbs up for no wig and a thumbs down for wig? And why would you want bike lanes in South Central? To make it safer for people to jack your bikes? 14, the Outdoor Performance Center. I think this is a great idea. I think we could get 18, time Grammy Award winner Stacey to get out there, give us a free concert for city council. Let everybody have a meet and greet. I think that would be nice. Take the microphone out of Paul's hand and give it to somebody else. And sorry, a correction from earlier. Whose house? This is Smoke and Scan's house now.
So, Speaker,
you're not on the agenda.
Items you're speaking
Speak to the
so
agenda.
Please stick to the agenda items, or you will forfeit your speaking time.
Okay, group, settle down, because they're bringing in the kid in the blue, looks like a Karate Kid villain, to take your place. We're with you, but we can only do so much.
So
if you
again,
don't
this
start
is your
covering
final
everybody.
warning.
Thanks very much. Next caller, please.
You're welcome, Paul.
Yes, my name is Jason. I'm a Smoke Scan viewer, and I like to agree with everything you just said. Smoke and Scan is taking over, and that head on your
thank
group.
you. You already
better watch
spoke.
yourself there,
Next
brother.
caller,
You're a dangerous
please.
thing there.
Thank you. Next caller.
About the other stuff that comes later today.
So general public comment will be at the end of this meeting, and we are not in the special meeting yet.
Okay, thank you. And there'll be no interrupting, so you'll be sitting silently during my comments on the items, for which I'll have
Please
3
continue
minutes
and get on the agenda
on
items.
1 through 15. Right, 15. I'm getting on the agenda items right now. 6 is the ULA. Okay, keep it together. HLA. So look, the ideas behind this mobility plan 2035 are great. The feasibility is another matter. It's I think the electric bikes have made it more likely that someone would put their self on a bike and go to work in this era. But many speakers have brought up that this is problematic for a lot of reasons. And the thing that I responded to was how this was a not called for hearing, but somehow magically the floodgates were open for the bicyclist lobby. Now, Grote, you little weasel, that is not kosher where I come from. And we don't accept that kind of thing, because it should be open to all, so that the mobilized resources against this kind of crap, including the fire department, apparently, which is bizarre, but there you have it, should be given the same chance. We had to settle for the guy who, as he pointed out about his attire, was having a very hard time given his attire. So, Raman, that's not funny, by the way. It's a very serious matter, because bicycle lanes are important.
Mr. Previn, you've used your minute for this item. Please move on to another item.
I'm going to go on to the Riverway item. The Riverway item refers to the river and the way along it near Studio City. We have, she was talking about Riverside to the zoo. And
Mr. Previn, the Riverway item is item number 3, for which public hearing has already been held. So please move on to one of the open items.
I'm on. Okay, you're trying to distract me, which I don't appreciate. I thought that the previous speaker made a very good point about, Jesus, you really do distract a guy. I mean, I'm going to have to step over to my computer.
So, Mr.
here.
Previn, this is your last warning. I gave you the items that are open for public comment currently. That's items number 6 and 10 through 15. So you're welcome to speak to the other items.
Keep your mouth shut. I'm going to number 15. Okay, the Lhasa Winter Shelter Program. There, we've swum over to Safe Water, the Lhasa Winter Shelter Program. One of the most embarrassing groups in the city of Los Angeles, a joint task force, a joint powers authority that all parties who are members are fighting to get out of it somehow in some sane way while retaining their own jurisdiction. That said, I know you made some supplemental efforts, but I do think that there should be no reservations required, that this should be a walk-in situation, that there should not be people being told that they can't participate for various reasons. I think that's just a mess up. I did like what Yaroslavsky said about having a command center where all the departments are there for accountability.
Thanks very much. Next.
Call in user number 5. Please press star 6.
Okay, next caller, please. Next caller. And this will be the final caller.
Not on these items, Mr. President, but just very quickly, if I could have 10 seconds. I just want to introduce, we have
Excuse me, whoever is shouting, no, I got it. Whoever is shouting out, you know, because you've been warned countless times at countless meetings, You will not shout out and interrupt the work of this council.
And
you will be removed.
For the record, Mr. President, it was Camille Lewis.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President and just colleagues, I just want to quickly take an opportunity to introduce the members, the women and the men of HCRE Local 11 who are here in the audience here today. Obviously, they've been out here for the past several days. They have an ongoing negotiation with the folks, with the owners of the LA Grand Hotel. But nonetheless, I wanted to recognize their patience for taking the time out of their incredibly busy schedules to be here with us today. That's all. Thank you much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that will bring up items 10 through 13. I see no members wishing to be heard. Let's go ahead and open the roll. All right, with that, Mr. Szabo.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council.
Excuse me, could you please remove Ms. Cigar-Bollinger from the meeting for disrupting the work of the council, please? You're ordered excluded pursuant to Rule 12, Ms. Cigar-Bollinger. So please leave the council chambers silently and immediately, please. All right. Mr. Szabo.
All right. Matt Szabo, City Administrative Officer.
Go ahead, Mr. Gravener, with your general public comment.
Hey, Bob, as a word of advice, people can't hear you if you're speaking away from the microphone or mumbling into the microphone. You've been on the council for like 10 years. You should know how to speak into a microphone. Anyway, you know, why is it taking so long to get to general comment? The council rules say that general comment has to be at or near the beginning of the meeting. So why is general comment happening right now? You know, Ulysses, you should call a point of order and force a vote on the rule change. Let's hear what the council has to say about this new rule, because the rule has not been voted on, so we should get a vote of the full council. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous how you treated the people here calling for a ceasefire earlier, and you do need to call for a ceasefire. You should have introduced the motion. A lot of cities have called for a ceasefire already. You should do it too. Kevin needs to go.
Thank you, Mr. Gravener. Next speaker, please. Speaker.
I agree with Hernandez that it's ridiculous to have only a couple hundred people being served by vouchers. I'm talking about, my name is Harriet Elliott, I'm talking about directed energy all the time. This is my last book. I think this book is terrific. This is another wonderful book. I'm taking a physics class I'm right in the middle to get through it, but it's not bad. I'm reading verbatim. Our leaders will soon have the ability to instantly deter threats at the speed of light. We're talking war here. Directed energy is more than a new weapon. It's about a completely new way of thinking. The next societal change will be filed by directed energy, specifically DEWs. This book right here, he says he's never says anything secretive. Can you imagine? He's writing a book that's that much to say that's not secretive. Next time, I'm coming back.
We don't doubt that. Next speaker.
All right, so store racism against black women and black people. The Rouse in Koreatown, Rouse store, the address is 670 Southwestern Avenue, Los Angeles, California, by Wilshire and Western, where you have security assaulting black people. They treat black customers like they're criminals. White people get the best customer service and people who are not black. And the black people get tracked all around the store like slavery, slave masters tracking a slave. Myself, I had paid for a product. Now there's cameras everywhere, even in the self-checkout. And right after I paid, security officer with the gun, it's very unsafe there, with the gun, came right here, and it's just very unsafe. And then they lie on black people because they feel they can get away with it because no one values the black people as much as they value white people. And so they'll lie on us to try to get us out of the store, and they retaliate against us when we talk about the racism there. Please help stop the racism at Ralph's store. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Randa Jarrar. I'm a member of CFA, the California Faculty Association. I'm a professor. I'm also an actor with SAG-AFTRA, and I'm here today representing all the non-citizens who cannot tell you via vote that they are unhappy with your work. They are unhappy that workers can't get a contract for 8 months, but we can give $50 million to bombs that kill innocent civilians, including at least 12,000 Palestinian children dead. I'm here to demand LA City Council call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the release of Palestinian political prisoners, divestment from the IDF, and for urgent aid to be delivered to the Palestinians who have lost everything over the last 4 months. As a resident of your city and an American citizen, I myself, I am very concerned about all this. Please, please help us. Help our families back home. Call for a ceasefire. We need a ceasefire, and we need it now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next speaker.
I am here to talk about the Hernandez, and it seems like she every time she likes to talk about the budget. Every time she wants to criticize about LAPD getting a raise, and I really recommend our council member Hernandez. Maybe you should start a pilot program. Maybe you should pull the LAPD out of your district as a whole, so the other district who love the protection of the LAPD, we can have more. Actually, maybe if that's what you wanted, you can get rid of LAPD from your district as a whole, so nobody will care about your district. Second of all, I'm here to support Kevin De Leon regarding the $4 million, and then because, like I said many times, the Skid Row, the central pandemic of the homelessness is in Kevin De Leon's district. His district needs the most support, services, and funding. Support Kevin De Leon, support Nuri Martinez. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next speaker.
So remember, everybody, Ethan Weaver for City Council, CD4, anybody but Skinny Nithia, the queen of homelessness, who's destroying the streets of Encino and Sherman Oaks with her liberal lunatic policies. Even Unisys doesn't go that far with her liberalism like you do. And again, Wendy Carrillo and Kevin De Leon for the runoff in CD14. Hey, a runoff. That's right. We will finally be able to have a real debate. Live debates. And of course, remember, do we have a quorum here? We will ask Councilman Buckethead. No, that's what I thought. So thank you for making us wait all this goddamn fucking time for 1 goddamn minute. Fuck President's Day. Thank you.
Great, thank you, and thank you for making that minute so extraordinary. Next, that's the last speaker.
Public comment. Here we go. Even subhuman lowlife Nuri Martinez said, if you are indicted, you will be suspended from this council. Petty pink-faced corrupt Armenian dictator Paul Ku Klux Krikorian is even lower than Martinez because he has indicted out on bail embezzling criminal current price voting daily on this corrupt sleazy council. And we wonder why there is 60,000+ homeless people on our streets. Sleazy Marquise Dawson is the worst thing to ever happen to the black community. Black women, again, are only 4.3% of the population, but 25% of female rape, 36% female assault, 33% female homicide, 33% of all female violence. The black community has zero representation from these incompetent, corrupt, sellout, self-serving, indicted black Uncle Tom members of the corrupt city council. And it is pretty horrible to wait.
Caller, your time has
3
expired.
hours.
Next caller.
Go ahead, Mr. Gravener. Enlighten us.
Good afternoon. Which items would you like to speak to?
Oh, I wonder what those two are talking about. Let's see. We have all items on the special agenda as it says on your screen, Bob.
Okay. So you have 3 minutes for the items. Please begin.
All right. So we have item 16. That's related to the landslide. Looks like caused by the recent rain. So, yeah, demolishing the property. People that build homes on those dangerous hills. Let's see, we have item 17 that's related to repairs in public infrastructure caused by the February 2024 rains. Isn't there not supposed just to call it rain? Why do you need to call it that? But yeah, let's provide those. those relief funds for repair the streets. All right, item 18, a motion from Kevin De Leon and his best buddy Bob Blumenfield, who's up there in the chair right now, for nuisance abatement. That's a really subjective, statement at Oceanwide Plaza. I think Oceanwide Plaza is the nuisance. Why don't they finish the building? Why don't you just seize the tower and and house people in it or something? We're in the state of emergency and homelessness right now. Take over the tower and seize the tower, and let's use it for public good. Use it for housing or shelter or something. Just something that would benefit the public, since this building is just sitting here unfinished, and you're putting so much money towards going after people for graffiti on on this building. But why don't you put that money towards seizing the tower and using it for public good, like for housing for unhoused people, or affordable housing, shelter, just something that would benefit the public more than just than just sitting there being an eyesore in the middle of downtown LA. So yeah.
Thank you. Next speaker.
All items. First of all, start with item 18. Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney, for providing that whatever modification. The only problem is I am mentally retarded, and I do not understand a single word you said. And I really wish that in the future, if I can continue to participate in the city council meeting, if you can please provide equivalent translation services so I can understand whatever modification you just said. Because right now, because of my mental disability, everything you said, I don't understand. I don't understand your language, and then most important, I forgot everything already simply because of my mental disability. So that is my comment for number 18. But anyway, number 18, also I see the word Kevin De Leon, so I am here to support the Kevin De Leon. And then you also mentioned the LAPD security services, and then so I would probably support that. Kevin De Leon Lives Matter. Number 17. Number 17 is funding for the cash to balance a new account entitled Mulholland Drive. Okay, so because of the rain, because of the severe weather, I recognize that many buildings are damaged. That not only including this particular project, but I am actually much more concerned regarding all the homeless in the Kevin De Leon's district, in their homeless tent or whatever, camping on the street. So how were they able to deal with the severe rain, severe weather, or whatever, earthquake, rainstorm, whatever weather that might be? So I'm actually more concerned than the in the district 14 compared to 4. Number 16, demolish property and remove the surrounding debris. Well, number 16, my comments is I have a hard time to read this because I don't have any equivalent translation services, so I cannot provide any comment. Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Thank you for discriminating against my language disability.
Yes, Pumpkinhead, all the goddamn items,
Okay.
and
good
a general
afternoon.
public comment.
You have
period.
3 minutes for the items. There is no
Yeah,
general public
I
comment.
think Mr. De Leon wanted to get that extra minute in there. What do you say? No? Okay, fuck it. So now we get to number 16. Well, that's that ugly Katie Young-Yaroslavsky. $65,000 for Caribou Lane. I don't even know where the fuck Caribou Lane is. A caribou is a horned animal like myself. Well, then you support it then, right? Yes, I always support anything with my fellow animals. Ew! So you support it. Yes, I do. For new constrictions and constructions. For the storms. It's going to rain again. Yes, make sure Mr. Price eats that delicious meal before the storm. Number 17. Then we have skinny, no good Nithya ramen. making $1 million plus $6 million fucking dollars for a little area in Mulholland Drive? Well, that's where all those rich fucking campaign developers are in CD4. I don't know if this is legitimate. Let's ask Paul Martin Krikorian. Is that legitimate, Paul? He's looking at me very doubtful, so I think that this item should go back immediately to the Budget and Finance Committee, chaired by Burr Bourbonblield. And I think Mr. McOsker Buckethead would second sending number 17 back for corrections. I'm very afraid of this item. I don't know who the contractor is. I don't know why it would take $6 million to do the same thing that we can do with half of that money. So, Nithya is a no-good cunt. Vote for Ethan Weaver and no on number 17.
This is not on the agenda, and you've used your minute on this item,
Well,
so please
okay.
move on to item number 18.
I'm trying, man. It's just a little farm animal. I mean, he's trying. I'm trying, sir. Number 14, CD 14, and number 18. Yes, another good job by Kevin De Leon. Let's give, geez, that's 2 today. That's right. Yes. He's trying to clean up the mess left by the Chinese Communist government, known as Chi-Coms to Donald Trump. They're very evil, those Chi-Coms. They like to build shit and then go bankrupt and leave it for people like Buckethead and all these other people to repair and clean. Yes, hopefully 3.8 million fucking dollars is a good start, yes. And I call for it to be torn down. Yes, this is what we do here, everybody. So as we say, have a good fucking weekend. I know I will.
Okay.
Item number 17 refers to $1.593 million. There's only one problem here. That's not a dollar sign anymore. You've gotten rid of dollar signs. It's all about Ty Dolla $ign, a famous old-time rapper. There are no dollar signs on any of these items anymore. There's no dollar signs on these items. There's no cent signs on any items. Why the hell not? What is going on? Who's running city council? Can anybody answer that? Are you going to have a vote? Are you going to use the VAP with the R on it to vote in the upcoming election? Isn't that a private ballot? There's
so, Mr. Sachs, this doesn't appear to be on the agenda, so please stick to the agenda items or you will forfeit the rest of your time.
Okay, item number 18, again, we refer back to the 2 towers across the street from Bitcoin Arena. When was it changed from Staples Center to Bitcoin? How can you have 15 floors or 18 floors of graffiti and nobody knows about it? What kind of crew is going on? Who is going to clean that up? That was a parking lot for people to park to go to Staples Center to see the Lakers. But there's no longer there. As a matter of fact, there were restaurants there. There was a Hooters. Why was it called Hooters? Because of the women waitresses wore those low-cut
So, Mr. Sachs, this is your last warning. Please stick to the agenda
I
item.
am sticking to it's this Oceanside Plaza, sir. I'm wondering why you have yellow covers on those mics and the other ones are all black. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to the phones.
Mr. Sachs, this is your only formal warning for the special meeting. Please do not disrupt this meeting.
Thank you, Grote. Rob Klon. Just want to say shout out to Smoke and Scan. And Kevin, I got an idea. You like to flirt with conservatives. Maybe you should amend this item to give a couple $100,000 to Smoke and Scan. They could man some surveillance cameras at Oceanwide and do a much better and cheaper job than your lazy ass cops. Just amazing that we're dropping $4 million to fortify this building. That is 2/3 the Ethics Commission's budget. And that's just their allotted budget. A few weeks ago, this council, led by Paul Krikorian, voted to block them from hiring 3 investigators with your little hiring freeze. And we got millions for LAPD overtime. Krikorian has 2 colleagues facing ethics investigations and says to the public, cops for thee, but not for me. Have a nice weekend.